this. Oh, now we're recording. Okay, so I want to start. John Jordan, Montreal. What's the date? April 10, 2026. Okay. Okay. All right. John, tell us, okay, have you spent time in the Allan Memorial?
I have spent a lot of time in the Allan Memorial. I still spend a lot of time in the Allan Memorial. Going back to the early 2000s. Not sure exactly what my first year there was. I was diagnosed as being bipolar in 2001 when I was living on Duluth and Saint Laurent on top of Cinema L'Amour. And I was initially hospitalized at Notre Dame Hospital, but my subsequent hospitalizations, I would say, starting in 2002, 2003, were at the Allan.
And how long, what length of period, of stay?
I would say I probably had 6 to 8 hospitalizations there between 2002 and whenever they shut down the inpatient unit, which was, I think, like 2013 or something like that. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. Okay. But I was probably there 6, 7, 8 times, something like that. Anywhere from 2 or 3 days to a month.
All right. And if you were there for 2 or 3 days, would you be in the same kind of ward, or as in if you were there for a month, or were there different levels of?
Yeah. So it's on the. It was on the third floor, fourth floor. I'm trying to remember. So there were basically 3 sections. There was the east section, which was very open, and
Okay.
they had a piano, and I actually wrote a really good song on that piano that I can play for you later.
Yes.
And then there was that was the west section. In the east section was split into like an emergency intake unit and a regular unit. So I was usually when I was admitted there, it would be by someone calling 911 on me. So the process would be I would be taken to the Royal Victoria Hospital and held in psychiatric emergency until room opened up for me in the emergency intake. And then I would be held there for a little while. And then when I had stabilized sufficiently to their requirements, I would be moved over to the regular section of the East Wing. And I was always in the East Wing. I never stayed in the West Wing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the East. Can you tell me the address of the East Wing? Is that the old building known as the Allan Memorial at the top of the driveway with the
It's the main building.
with the door?
It's in the
like
main
the
building.
fancy door,
Yeah.
or the main? Or are you talking about the Royal Victoria Hospital having psychiatric? You see, I don't know.
No, the Royal Victoria Hospital did have a small psychiatric emergency section.
Okay.
Which you would usually get evaluated in before being sent over to the main building of the Allan Memorial.
Yeah. All right. Okay. And okay, I'd like to know, what was it like to be admitted there? Did you walk in the door? Were you on a stretcher or something?
I was usually brought in on a stretcher because someone called 911 on me. So I was usually taken there by ambulance, strapped to a stretcher, brought to Royal Vic Emergency, stabilized there. Then as soon as there was room available, brought up to the emergency section of the East Wing. I would usually be put on Haldol, so I wouldn't be able to remember those days when I was taking Haldol, which also apparently made me very aggressive and crazy. I would hear about afterwards things I did while I was on the Haldol that I had no recollection of. And then finally I'd end up in the regular section of the East Wing.
And the East Wing, okay, I've been in there, and I can remember there's a desk at the front. You go through the fancy Rosicrucian type door with all the roses carved into it. You go up the little steps, and then you go off to the right, or you go straight down a hallway.
Yeah, if you go straight down the hallway, At the end of the hallway, before it turns,
Yeah.
there's a stairway going up to the second floor
Mm-hmm.
and the third floor.
Okay.
And or if you follow the hallway, it goes to the elevator at the end.
Yes.
So, so if you went up to the top of those stairs at the end of that hallway, or before the turn, the end of the hallway before the turn, you would get up to the east and west wings. So, like that hallway empties out onto a corridor, and that corridor is what divides the wings.
Okay. Okay. All right. So some of that's hidden when you come in the door, I guess, or you have to. Anyway, I'll do a little map at some point so that. Okay, so you were often up somewhere in the like the East Wing.
Like in the back on
Is
the
it
third
literally
floor.
east, like in Montreal, the east?
Yeah, it's like
yeah. Okay. In the back, were you looking out at the mountain?
we're kind of looking out at the McGill Stadium.
Okay. All right. And what kind of room was it?
Nondescript, nothing special.
Private? Semi-private?
It's a good question. I think most of the time I had a private room.
Okay.
There were both. They had both, and I think most of the time I was in a private room.
Were you ever in what was called a locked ward?
Yeah, that was like the emergency intake section. That was locked. That was totally locked. You couldn't leave.
Mm-hmm.
There was very little interaction with anybody. It was very grim. It was very dark.
That's at the Royal Vic.
No, at the Allan.
Oh, at the Allan. Sorry, excuse me. So, okay, and there would have been a number of people in there?
Yeah, I think they had like 5 or 6 single rooms.
Okay. All right. So okay, now I'm really curious to know what kind of procedures and things you went through, and what did you socialize, what was life like there, say when you were there for a month? Is that clear in your mind, or is that
It's, there's socializing for sure. The staff were really good from what I remember. I still see some of them now. Because a lot of them are still working, but they're over at the General Hospital on the 4th floor psych ward.
at the MUHC?
At the MUHC, yeah, at the Montreal General Hospital. So I still see like Regis and Sean and Lorraine, who were there back when I was at the Allan.
And you continue to see them for like on a kind of regular kind of check.
Well, I've been, I do with the choir. I do with Musiart. I do like 2 concerts a year on the psych ward.
Okay.
So I see them when I do those concerts. And then last year I was doing Marijuana Anonymous panels in the psych ward. So I did like 4 panels on the psych ward last year, and I saw them every time I went there, so.
All right. And that's at MUHC.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me, who was your psychiatrist? Do you remember?
My
was
first
there more than one?
psychiatrist was Dr. Engels, who was the head of psychiatry. He was really old when he was looking after me, man. He was like a skeleton in a 3-piece suit. But he was great. And then I guess he finally retired in 2011. I got switched to Dr. Nancy Lowe, who's still my psychiatrist, and she's amazing. She's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aha. So okay. What can you talk about your experience, including the forms of treatment?
Well, it's like there's not a lot of treatment that goes on there. There's various kinds of occupational therapy, like art therapy, cooking therapy, music therapy. And depending on what the state of the budget was at any given time, sometimes you would have a lot of OT and sometimes you would have 0 OT. So it changed a lot over the years when I was there. Like, I remember one time I was there, we were doing something almost every day for some kind of activity, And then other times I was there was absolutely nothing. So it's all, the whims of the bean counters and stuff and where they decide to put the money.
Put the money. What kind of OT do they do these days?
These days, I don't know.
Or for you, like in your, did you see different, you didn't do basket weaving?
No, but we
But
did art.
art.
We had art classes. We had cooking classes. We had music therapy with. That's where I met Danny Bouchard from Music Art. Was at the Allen. Um, we had some kind of yoga and meditation classes at one point. That's about all I can remember.
Okay.
But there was no like group therapy or talk therapy or anything like that. We didn't do
There
any.
wasn't.
No.
They
never.
don't do that anymore, you think? Or you just...
Not for inpatients, they don't. They do it for outpatients, but they don't do it for inpatients.
So you didn't have... okay, no talk therapy. Like no cognitive therapy.
No, that's all
counseling.
outpatient stuff. That's all outpatient.
That's all outpatient.
Yeah.
Wow, this is interesting. Yeah. So, okay, you have a generally positive, I think, attitude to your experience there. Is this true?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was traumatizing in any way. I don't have any resentments about how I was treated. I think I was treated fairly and with pretty basic levels of compassion and dignity,
And like an adult human being with
Yeah.
rights and...
Exactly,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
How many drugs are you on any meds now? And
Oh yeah, I take lithium, I take Risperdal, I take Celexa, I take vitamin D, and I take... If I need to sleep, I can take Seroquel, but I almost never take it because I don't have trouble sleeping.
okay, that's quite a cocktail, though.
Yeah, it's not bad.
You find you can maintain well with that, and
Yeah, I'm used to it. I've been on it for so long. My prescription has not changed in years. I've been on this particular cocktail for 10 years at least, so I'm used to it.
okay, all right. Okay, that's pretty clear profile of what's actually the reality of it and what's really going on now. What it's like to be admitted and how you're treated, how they manage you. Do they still give you the same diagnosis?
My diagnosis has never changed.
And it's bipolar.
It's bipolar, yeah.
Okay, and you accept the diagnosis?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a lot more to say about what goes on there on an outpatient level than there is to say on an inpatient level.
You've been both.
Yeah. So
Go ahead.
I'm still followed there as part of the mood disorders clinic, which my psychiatrist, Dr. Lowe, is part of. And it's been terrible what's been going on there the past few years. They're just cutting and cutting and cutting outpatient services. It started off with the Recovery Transition Program, which was a very low-cost, volunteer-based, peer-to-peer counseling program that they had going, matching up people with more recovery with people with less recovery and sort of creating mentorship opportunities. And I participated in that for a year. Then they totally eliminated it. Then the next to go was the addiction center. I was up for a job. I was supposed to get hired by the addiction center. Then they cut that and got rid of it. And then this year it's music therapy. They eliminated all the music therapy from the Allen and tried to shut down the music art choir. So by firing 2 music therapists, or more accurately, deciding not to renew their contracts and pick it up, because the music therapists were being paid through the foundation, so their salaries were paid by donations, which was only supposed to be for 3 years, at which point the hospital was supposed to incur the expense of their salaries. But when Santé Quebec cut $1.5 billion from the budget, they said, we can't afford to take over their salaries, so we're shutting down the music therapy program.
Yeah. And that's happening now. I know you mounted a campaign to save it, and you were trying to raise some extra donations, and you have a group of people who are part of a choir.
Well, we've kind of saved it, but we took a lot of losses. They found the money to save the choir, but they're moving it away from the hospital to a community center called Les Impatients on Rosemont and Saint Denis. So the music therapist who was going to be cut her job has been saved and she's coming over to Les Impatients. But the other co-director, Danny Bouchard, who's been with the choir since 2008, is employed by the hospital. And now that the choir isn't part of the hospital, he's not working with us anymore, which is a huge loss. And also, I find this Les Impatients group is super sketchy because, number one, they have like an asterisk. They call themselves Art and Music Therapy Community Center, but they don't offer any therapeutic activities. We've lost the connection with our doctors now that we're no longer with the MUHC. And Les Impatients has a policy that I find very stigmatizing and discriminatory and a violation of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, where nobody who participates in their community center can apply for a job there. So I have big issues. I think the choir is jumping out of a general hospital frying pan into a Les Impatients fire. And I'm very upset. And I'm still, I have a meeting scheduled tentatively with the foundation to get some of my questions answered because they want me to restart a fundraiser that I started that they canceled like before it was a day old.
Right.
Even though it had raised $1,500.
Yeah.
Now they're trying to get me to start it up again. I said, we need to have a meeting about why all this shit is happening before I start this up again.
Yeah. Get it in writing.
Yeah.
And there's a fondation. The foundation is where are they? What are their affiliations? Like, who are they?
They're the Montreal General Hospital's
okay.
foundation for drumming up charitable donations.
Okay. And that would be people from McGill, or I don't know who that might be, but anyway. I guess a community group of some sort, or very rich people. What pillars of society? Who would they be?
I don't know exactly
don't know.
who they are.
You'll
I
meet
think
them.
they're a bunch of incompetent boobs, personally.
Okay. You'll find out. To be
Well,
continued.
they're like, first of all, they didn't understand how their own website works. Because I used their website to launch the fundraiser on a Sunday. And when they got to work on Monday morning and saw that it had raised $1,500 and was live, they were like, what did he do? Did he hack the system? How did he get this live without being approved by us?
Okay.
They didn't even know it was possible to do. So they shut it down in a panic, you know?
Oh, that's what that was.
So,
I remember.
and then a couple of weeks ago, I wrote to them to say, how is the choir going to get the money I raised? They wrote back and said, oh, the $425 you raised has been put into a special account for the choir. I'm like, where are you getting $425 from? It's $1,460. And I had to send them all the receipts I got from all the donations. And they're like, oh, sorry, we don't know how to read our own reports or something. Fuck. Idiots. Idiots.
Okay, well, you're an activist.
Yes.
And okay, I'd like you to talk a bit about, your background, but I'd also maybe first talk about the circumstances that got you put into the Allan in the beginning. What kind of life, what was the world you came out of that ended with being admitted to the Allan Memorial?
Well, I was, my psychological problems started young. I saw a child psychologist at 13 for depression. So I had a history of depression at a young age. And then I got into the music scene, and I was with a band called Me Mama Morgentaler. And our shows were quite dynamic, quite theatrical, quite explosive, quite high energy. So...
Was that was like pop, punk? What was that?
Yeah, it was
ska?
pop, punk, ska,
Yeah.
jazz, polka. It was a large band. It was an 8-piece band. I played saxophone and sang. And so for my 20s, I was doing that. And so my life was highs and lows all the time. But it was sort of explained by my surroundings, and forgiven. Because it was like written off as the artistic temperament, And
And you were in an environment also which was extremely more than tolerant of artistic persons, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And the lifestyle, correct?
Yeah.
Like around the plateau or the Main or.
Yeah, we were on the Main. I lived on or adjacent to the Main for all of my 20s and the 90s. So then when that finished,
How did that finish? The band broke up?
the band broke up. Yeah, we lost our accordion player. Couldn't face the idea of trying to find a new one, and decided to quit while we were ahead. We were doing really well. We were kind of at the peak of our game, and we just said, let's go out on a high note. And everyone was kind of itching to try new things and stuff. So that's what we did. We also realized we had made a lot of mistakes that were going to take a very long time to recover from, and we just thought starting fresh in smaller projects separate from each other might be more of an opportunity for growth instead of trying to undo past mistakes, you know? Mm-hmm. So that finished, and then I opened a business. I opened a graphic design business, and I worked for a lot of the concert promoters and record labels in Montreal, and I did that for a few years. And then I moved to New York for a year after I broke up with my girlfriend and wanted to get out of Montreal for a while, so I went to New York for a year. And when I came back, I worked for Vice for a while. And then Vice moved to New York, and I didn't want to go back to New York. So I took a job at the Oscar Peterson Concert Hall at Concordia University, Loyola campus. But it wasn't called the Oscar Peterson Concert Hall at that point. They were planning to rename it after Oscar Peterson, and they wanted to hire a dedicated public relations person. So I applied, I got the job, and I worked there for 2 years, and I had a very toxic boss. And I was struggling with depression again, having a hard time coming to work and facing his bullshit. So I started seeing a psychology graduate student on campus. And he suggested I get a family doctor and get a full round of blood work done and a full physical examination to rule out any physical causes for my depression. So I ended up getting Dr. Claude Cyr at the CLSC Saint Joseph, and we did all the tests. Everything was normal. And the depression was persisting. So he suggested we try an antidepressant. So he put me on Effexor XR. And I took it for about 6 weeks. It really upset my stomach. It really made me feel like shit. So we weaned me off it. And but it was like opening Pandora's box. And it sent me on my first real psychotic manic episode that lasted all summer. It was like 3 or 4 months of psychotic mania, until I was finally hospitalized at Notre Dame Hospital, and I got my diagnosis and was released homeless and without any friends into the streets of Montreal while the towers were falling on September 11th, 2001, the day after my birthday.
Whoa. Okay. The manic episode, do you think that was drug induced? Because before that you'd been depressive. You'd had depression, and then they put you on Effexor, and then you had
I'd been hypomanic
had
before.
you had a psychotic episode?
I'd never had a psychotic episode like that before, no. I'd had hypomania, for sure. I had periods...
What is hypomania?
It's like when you're just starting to get manic. Oh. It's like when you drink too much coffee or have too much sugar, you know? That's hypomania.
Okay. So, but you don't think it was like a drug imbalance maybe that precipitated the psychotic episode that then put you in Notre Dame?
I think it was the Effexor that triggered it.
Yeah, sounds like,
for
okay.
Sure.
Maybe that's obvious, yeah. But anyway, yeah. So then, okay, who did you see at Notre Dame? Do you remember your doctor?
No.
Just because I once worked for
He wasn't even there the whole time I was there. I just saw nurses.
All right.
I only saw my doctor when he got back from vacation on September 11th for him to tell me, well, the nurses think you're doing okay. We're going to let you go.
Bye.
Booge.
Yeah, this is familiar to me. I've heard this before. So they didn't, yeah, and they didn't. So they didn't draw you into their system and their at Notre Dame. They just.
I
put
never
you
had
out on
any
the street.
outpatient treatment with
And-
Notre Dame. I was never
Never
an
had that.
outpatient there. I never went
Okay.
to a day hospital.
You were just inside Notre Dame.
I was just an inpatient. Yeah, there was no follow through. There was no follow up.
Okay, what happened then after September 11th, 2000?
Well, I went to live. I did some sofa surfing, and then finally I got another place on Duluth, a little further down from where I lived, a little studio apartment in a converted synagogue that had been converted into apartments. And it was depressing as hell, and
The Bag Street Synagogue.
No, not
No,
the Back
not
Street
the Bag-
Synagogue. It
Oh,
was on
okay.
Duluth.
On Duluth, okay.
And I spent a year pretty much sitting in that apartment, being suicidal, watching the 3 channels I could get on TV, and eating plain pasta with butter and salt every day, and living off that. And then my mother invited me to live with her on Cavendish and de Maisonneuve at 2525 Cavendish. So for a year, we shared a little studio apartment until we got 1 bedroom a few floors up the year following. And I lived there from 2002 to 2008. And then I found this palace in the dirt and moved here, and I've been here ever since. And I have like the cheapest rent in North America, so I'm very happy.
It's great. Full of your memorabilia and your posters and those are some of your paintings?
No, that's my friend.
Or-
Those are Vanessa Van Hollywood, a friend of mine that I was just visiting in Halifax while I was away, who was going to come back with me but couldn't, unfortunately. And that one of Catwoman licking her hand is outside in the Alley Cat Gallery. And those ones over there, Danny Rebel, he's a Filipino singer-songwriter who's also a painter whose stuff I collect and commission sometimes. And, yeah.
Those paint, like, what's her name? I know her name, but I never...
Amy Winehouse.
Amy Winehouse, Louis Armstrong. Yeah, so those are his paintings?
Yeah.
They're beautiful. All right, and then the Black Panther.
That I found on the street.
Yeah, looks familiar somehow. Well, so it was, you landed, but you, from your career in music, which took you into some more creative work, but things got dicey, I guess, economically. It must have been...
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been on disability welfare since 2001. I am incapable of, holding down a job in any kind of corporation or institution. I'm just too much of a rebel. I have too many problems with authority. I get too triggered by the feeling of being exploited, and I react very badly. It always triggers a manic episode. I always have to check myself into the hospital, go on medical leave, and then never come back. It's the same story every time I try and work for a normal job.
Huh. All right. You take full okay, one thing I notice is you take almost, I would say, full responsibility for your situation and your circumstances. Do you put blame on anybody?
No. It's like the book says, maybe the problem is you, you know?
Yes.
It's like, one thing I've learned in recovery is you can't control other people, places, and things. You only have control over your actions and your reactions. So all I got to worry about is keeping my side of the street clean, I'm powerless over what goes on around me, my only power is in how I choose to react to it, and if I take responsibility for my actions, then I have power over them, and I can do something about them, But if I play the victim and say, oh, all these people are responsible for everything that happened to me, I totally lose my power.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. But at the same time, though, you in a sense, you are part of a system. You define yourself as an outpatient, or an ex-patient. How do you define yourself in terms of your history of would you call it mental illness, or would you just call it life, you know? But how do you define yourself?
Well, I have mental illness. I always try to say I have bipolar, not I am bipolar, because I am not a disease. I have a disease. It's a component of who I am. It's an important component of who I am, but it doesn't define me at the same time. I am a patient of the Mood Disorders Clinic at the Allan Memorial Institute and the MUHC. I'm a musician first and foremost. I'm a fellow in MA in recovery. I'm a volunteer in my community. And I'm a very good friend to a lot of people that they can count on when the chips are down, you know?
Yeah, I would say you're quite an extrovert in a lot of ways, more than many people. You're very, what I know of you, you seem to, seem to have an enormous amount of energy. I notice, and giving, generosity is one of your traits, I think.
Thank you.
And this is just from previous, following you a bit and reading your book and following you a bit on Facebook. So, and also just having the fact that you were in the band that you were in, that type of band. You seem to be doing well. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'm very pleased with how my recovery is going. I have no complaints. I have a lot to look forward to in life.
How old are you now?
I'm 56.
Young.
It depends relative to who.
Yeah.
I have no complaints. I have no complaints about my life. I feel really blessed. I feel like I have more than I need. I feel like I live from a place of abundance. I don't lack anything. I don't want for anything. I have more than I need. And I just want to make sure I'm always aware of how blessed I am, and that I show my gratitude for how blessed I am by being able to share my good fortune with others around me who maybe don't have as much.
Mm-hmm. How much of how much gratitude do you feel towards, say, the government?
Oh, a great deal.
Okay.
Great deal. I mean,
They've really been involved. I mean, they have been involved with you. When you were a musician, I imagine you had none of that kind of support in your life.
We had one grant. We got one Factor grant for our second album. So we did get some government support. Yeah,
Arts Council kind of.
Yeah. It was Factor. Yeah.
Factor? What is that?
The Foundation for Assisting Canadian Talent on Record.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's federal. We never got Arts Council grants.
Okay, but you were making money off your music too?
Yeah, we were doing okay. Doing okay. I mean, we were in debt when we broke up to the tune of like 50 grand.
I imagined. Something like that, yeah. Yeah.
But no, I mean, like social solidarity services, has guaranteed me for 25 years now, I haven't had to worry about paying my rent or getting food because I get that welfare check every month, And, that's kind of like proof that universal basic income works.
Yeah.
Because it takes care of the essentials. And then, it's up to me and my wits to pay for the rest.
Mm-hmm. And what do you do with your wits these days? How do you
I'm an assistant to a senior. I assist an 87-year-old man who has decided he wants to travel somewhere every month. So half the time I'm planning a trip and half the time I'm accompanying him on the trip, and that's exciting.
Where do you go?
He has another assistant too. So first place we went, September, we went to Ottawa. October, he went to Boston with the other assistant. Vanessa is her name. Then he went to New Orleans with Vanessa in December. Then he went to Florida with Vanessa in February. Then he and I went to Costa Rica a few weeks ago. Sunday, we're going to New York City. Then in May, we're doing 2 weeks. 1 week in Portland, 1 week in Seattle. Then in June, we're driving down to the coast of Maine. In July, we're going to his country place in Ivry, which is near Saint Sauveur. In August, we're talking about maybe Mexico or Portugal or Mallorca. We haven't decided yet.
You're busy.
Yeah.
That's very cool. All right. I get a sense of, like I think we have a sense of your journey, where you've ended up. You've had some help, you've helped others, and, and things have worked out pretty well, sounds like, up to now.
Well, service is the backbone of recovery. And the best thing you can do to help yourself is to help someone who's like wishes they were as good as you, Yeah. And there's always someone like that, no matter how badly off you are, There's always someone who's got it worse that you can lift up. And hopefully there's someone who's got it better than you that can lift you up. It's like, that Dr. Seuss thing where all the monkeys are carrying each other's tail, It's the same idea.
All right. Where did you learn that?
Dr. Seuss or the service?
Your service, yeah.
A long time ago when I first started learning about the importance of peer mentorship in mental health recovery.
So do you think your recovery process taught you those lessons, or rather than your previous life?
Well, I had a sense of it in my previous life, but getting into recovery really confirmed what I always believed, I used to always say it's so much easier to look after someone else's problems than your own. It's like why so many housekeepers have a messy house themselves, They can clean other people's messes, but they need help cleaning their own mess.
Like editing your book. I can't edit my own stuff.
Yeah.
But you need an editor,
You need someone who doesn't have the baggage, right? Like someone who's not so personally invested in it. Someone who's detached. Like I always say, they talk about how people who suffer from mental health problems, it's the people who are closest to them that are most often hurt and affected by their actions, So often the people best qualified to help them are not their close friends, are not their family. They're the least qualified to help them. You need someone a little more outside who's detached, who doesn't come with any baggage, who can get in there and go, okay, we're going to work on this together. Mm-hmm. I have no expectations of you.
And they judge you in the present moment, not your past history, not grudges that people carry around.
Yeah.
So that's the whole argument for being socially, engaged, because you have a chance then of meeting people that don't know you, and getting objective feedback and having also possibility of helping in the same way somebody else. Social engagement. All right. That's a good philosophy, That's like a little gem you just wrote there. Really.
It's worked for me. I have 3 sponsees right now in MA. One is here in Montreal, one is in South Africa, and one is in Michigan.
Sponsees?
Yeah, I'm their sponsor. Yeah.
And what is MA?
Marijuana Anonymous.
Oh, okay. So that means conversations, interactions, like texting.
We talk about, I help them go through the 12 steps. It's all focused on doing the 12 steps together. We do them together, It's a 2-way street. Like I get as much out of it as they do, because I'm not just giving my opinion on how they should do the steps. I'm actually doing the steps with them and sharing my experience while they share their experience. We do go through the process together. So
And 12-step was a big help for you?
Oh, huge, yeah.
When did you start that?
2.5 years ago.
All right, so you're fairly new to it, I guess. But do you go to
Yeah.
meetings?
I go to meetings, yeah.
Right, you go to the hospital, yeah.
Well, I run a meeting at the hospital. I did a meeting for 2 months at the Allan. I just decided to pull it from the Allan and move it to the psych ward at the General because it wasn't working at the Allan. And I go to a Monday meeting near the Jewish General Hospital at the Chabad Lifeline Center. And I used to go to a Friday meeting at the NDG Legion, but 2 weeks ago we had to shut it down because there weren't enough service people available to keep the meeting going.
Keep the building open, kind of? Or
Yeah, to open the meeting, to make coffee, to set up the chairs,
yeah.
to close up afterwards. Like, a bunch of people left, so there was only me and one other person.
Yeah.
And I've got all this... I'm away like 2 weeks out of every month, so I can't really be there every week. And it was too much responsibility to foist on one person, so he said, we're going to have to just shut the meeting down for now until things change.
Wow, yeah, okay.
And I go to meetings on Zoom every day.
With your sponsees? Or others?
No, like group
yeah.
meetings, group MA meetings on Zoom.
Every day?
There's 500 meetings every week on Zoom for Marijuana Anonymous at all hours of the day.
And is your goal to get completely clean? Get completely off?
Oh, I'm completely
You
clean.
are.
My goal at this point is to become a better, more spiritual human being. And to develop my relationship with my higher power.
All right.
And to help others get clean.
Wow.
Do you know the steps?
I know some of them. I mean, I can't repeat them or anything. I've read them, you know, and
Well,
I'm
step
sort of
1,
familiar.
admit you're powerless over your addiction.
Yeah.
Step 2, come to believe that power greater than yourself could restore you to sanity. Step 3, make a decision to turn your will and your life over to the care of a higher power. And by will, I mean thoughts, and by life, I mean actions. Step 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of yourself. So all your fears, all your resentments, all your mistakes, all your regrets, your sexual history, everything, make an inventory of it. Step 5, go over your inventory with someone. Step 6, I always get 6, 7, and 8 mixed up.
So some of these early steps you do on your own, or you'll do in the context of a
You
group?
always do it with a sponsor.
You always do it with another person.
Yeah, you always do it with someone else.
Yeah. Okay. 6, 7.
6. What's
It's okay.
6? I can't believe I haven't memorized these by now.
You know them. Because AA started when?
In the 50s, I
In the
think.
50s. I've heard it said that there's some relationship between AA and MK Ultra, but you know, like right now, a little vague in my mind.
There's a lot of, you know what's got a lot of parallels with the 12 steps?
What?
The degrees of Freemasonry.
Yeah.
A lot of parallels.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Okay, so step 6, we're entirely ready to have our higher power remove all these defects of character. Step 7, humbly asked our higher power to remove our shortcomings. Step 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Step 10, continued to take personal inventory on a daily basis, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 11, sought through prayer, talking to God, and meditation, listening to God, to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us, and the power to carry that out. And finally, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we try to carry our message to addicts and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So I've done the steps with a sponsor twice. And I've done the steps. I have yet to have a sponsee who has gotten past step 4, the inventory. they all get stuck and hung up on step 4. You're supposed to try not to like procrastinate too much, but all my sponsees have been stuck on it for months. And I'm like, I tell them all, I'm like, look, pick the one thing that you're most dreading facing. Like, what's the one thing you really don't want to talk to me about the most? Let's get that out on the table and the rest should be easy. And they're all like, okay, I'm going to have to think about that.
They can't decide. Jeez. Yeah.
One thing I really like they say about this program, about the 12-step recovery program, is it's the practice of rigorous honesty. And honesty is the biggest cornerstone of the program. And
and you're forced to be honest in the group meetings, I know, or whatever with your sponsor, right? I mean, there's a kind of a, isn't there a kind of a sense of pressure, or like, I know what you're really saying there, do you get that kind of feedback? Really, like, intense?
I try to lead by example, so I'm just like, I'm very honest with my sponsees, like when we are on step 4, like, I tell them all the hard, dark secrets that I had to unearth, and I share it with them and stuff like that. And I can just hope that encourages them to be open and honest, but most people, especially addicts, have been putting up a front, and hiding their true nature from people for a long time. And it's not so easy in early sobriety to, like, stop doing that. A lot of them have really lost touch with who they really are, too. And it's
you say a lot of people who, are in that world have a false self.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And that they project out, and they've got to break down that false self.
They've created a version of themselves that they can live with, but they've buried a lot of stuff that they're not facing, and they're not open about. They've curated themselves.
Manage their whatever.
Yeah.
They're their own publicity agent,
Yeah.
promotion, self-promoter. Yeah, and I guess all kinds of scenarios would come up. Yeah. Do you want to pause for a second?
Yeah, I'm gonna have a smoke if you want.
Yeah, I'll let you smoke. Okay, good. I hope we got that. I hope we've got all this.
I'm sure you got it.
Oh my God. Hold on. All right, pause. Right, there we go. Where did we leave off?
You said you wanted to talk about my dad.
Well, I do. I want to talk about your childhood. I can't remember how we got here, but now we're in the middle. So, your childhood.
Well, we were talking about recovery. I don't know if there was any.
Yeah, we're talking a lot about recovery, so 12 steps, right, and all that. So, okay, that's where we let go. Now I'd like to go back to your childhood. Like, I don't want to psychoanalyze you necessarily. Have you done psychoanalysis?
No, not really.
No, never. They don't do that. Or is that something?
They kind of did when I was 13 and seeing that child psychologist, but I don't remember it very well.
Why don't you? Okay, tell me where you were born, where things started to change. Tell me about your early life.
Well, I was born in 1969 in Montreal at the Royal Victoria Hospital. My parents were living in Montreal West at the time. My mother's from Nova Scotia, New Brunswick and then Nova Scotia. She moved to Nova Scotia when she was very young. And my dad was from Calgary, Alberta. My mom grew up in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. And they both moved to Montreal in the 60s and met each other in Montreal. Got married in Montreal, had me in Montreal. And then when I was about 2 years old, 1971...
Okay, first tell me, what did your dad do for a living?
My dad was an account executive for Continental Explosives Limited, which was a division of CIL Paint.
All right. And your mom was a housewife, or?
No, my mom was a research chemist.
So chemistry on both sides.
Kinda. My dad wasn't really he was more into the sales end of things.
The sales, okay.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Industry and, yeah, okay. All right, keep going. You said then you moved out west?
Yeah, we moved to Vancouver, West Van, and we had been living then. Shortly after we moved there, my brother Kevin was born, and Kevin was born with Down syndrome, and his physical health was quite dire, and he wasn't expected to live very long. So he didn't come home with us. He always had to stay in special medical care. And then when I was 4 years old, and he was 2, me, my mom, and my dad piled into our Volvo sedan and set off over the Rockies to drive to Calgary to spend Christmas with my dad's family. And on the road, which was very icy, when we were in the mountains near either Hope or Golden, I always get them mixed up.
Well, Hope is way down near the coast, so it must have been Golden.
I think it was
up
Golden.
In the Rockies,
Golden.
Revelstoke, around there.
An oncoming car hit a patch of black ice and spun out, struck our car, threw my father from the vehicle. He was killed on impact on the road. And my mother broke her leg quite severely and got a concussion, and I got a concussion. And we were transported to Calgary, and I stayed with my dad's sister and her kids. And my mom was in the hospital for quite a long time doing rehab and surgery. She had she had a metal rod in her femur. And it took her quite a while to get back on her feet. And since, we had only been in Vancouver for 2 years, my mom didn't really have a big social circle set up there, Her social circle was all back in Montreal. So we sold the house in Vancouver, and part of the insurance settlement with CEL was, they bought us a house in NDG, just 2 blocks up the street from where we are now, on Harvard and Notre Dame de Grasse. And we settled in NDG. And my brother stayed in foster care in British Columbia.
Did he ever reunite with you and your mom?
Not really. We had a couple of visits, but we didn't really see him very much.
That's very tragic.
Well, yeah, it's dramatic.
It's dramatic.
For sure, yeah.
To lose your dad at such an age, and your mother, and then to be with your mom, and I imagine, I don't know. Anyway, I imagine that was hard to go through.
It was, but it was so sudden, It wasn't like losing someone to a long, drawn-out illness or anything like that,
Okay.
It's not like we had to prepare for it or anything. We just had to deal with the repercussions.
All right.
It all happened so fast.
So, okay. So, and you grew up in Montreal?
I did, yeah. I grew up in Montreal.
And your home, and life was okay? You went to West Hill High School, or?
No, I went to Willingdon Elementary until grade 2. And then from grade 3 to grade 11, I was in the private school, Lower Canada College.
Oh, you went to... Oh, right. Okay.
Suit and tie and no girls.
In the 70s.
70s and 80s, yeah. From 77 to 86, I think it was, or 78 to 86.
Okay. And how was that?
I hated it. Absolutely hated it. It was really, they did the bare minimum as far as art and music classes went. And apart from English and what else really just English was the only thing I was interested in, like writing and reading, those are my 2 passions. I couldn't stand being there. And I felt socially stunted because once we had the referendum and all the girls on my street moved to Toronto, I had no girls in my life, and it was torture.
And your street at that point was Harvard, around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, NDG, yeah. Everybody just left. I know, that was so depressing. That's when I came back. I had been living in Ontario, Southern Ontario, for a year and a half. I couldn't stand it there. And then my father died, and then I moved back to Quebec with my mother. But, you know, everybody was going out, everybody was leaving at that point. So you disappeared on me. Where are you?
I'll be back.
All right, you're coming back?
Need my muffin.
All right, anyway. Oh, get your muffin, yeah. So, yeah, but I can imagine, I know that feeling of abandonment, you know, or the sense that, you know, you've made a terrible decision by staying in Quebec, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You're screwing yourself for the rest of your life, which, anyway, it was never I never agreed, actually, with that. Because I've seen what it can be like living in the rest of Canada, too, you know. And so, okay.
I'm very thankful my mom stuck around. Would have sucked to go to Toronto.
Did she stay here the whole time? Is she still
Oh,
alive?
yeah. She's still alive. I was just visiting with her last week.
Cool.
Saw her on Monday.
Okay.
She's in a nursing home in Yarmouth.
Oh, she's in Nova Scotia.
Mm-hmm.
All right. She feels better out there?
No. She says moving back was the biggest mistake she ever made.
All right. Sorry about that. Yeah. So, okay. So
But my mom's kind of bipolar too. And her pattern was she would be in Montreal like she was a research chemist, right? And then my dad died. So she pivoted into teaching so we could have our summers off together. So we would spend the summers in Nova Scotia. First, we would go down and stay with her mom and dad. And then she eventually bought a cottage after her dad died, my grandfather. And
on the ocean out there.
On a lake, cottage on a lake. And so we would spend our summers at the cottage. Okay. And then later when I moved out, she would kind of live this dual life between Montreal and Yarmouth. And when it was always the same pattern. She would get to Yarmouth, be all excited to be there, get really like hypomanic and throw a lot of parties and see a lot of people. And then eventually her energy would burn out and she'd get depressed and she'd get sick of everybody and not want to see anyone and get sick of Yarmouth and come back to Montreal. And then she would be so happy to be back in Montreal. She'd throw all these parties and see all these people. And then winter would come and she'd crash and she'd get all depressed and she'd be like, oh, I hate Montreal. I want to go back to the... And she was always bouncing back and forth between the two of them.
Huh, so she was your model, really.
Yeah.
For manic depression.
Mm-hmm.
How much of it's hereditary?
Oh, a lot, I think.
Ethnic background?
Scottish, Irish.
Yeah, well, that'll do it, too.
And both my grandfathers spent time in mental hospitals.
True. Really? Both your grandfathers. And your father's side was English?
Irish.
Irish. Oh, so you got, yeah, both sides. Uh-huh. Because that's, well, I'm like Scots-Irish and then French-Canadian. Mm-hmm. Norman. Like, those genetics predispose you, if you're talking now, we can switch a little bit and talk about conspiracy theories.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit. They will predispose you to for experimentation. You know that, eh? Do you know that? The Celtic bloodlines are supposed to be highly, prone to manic depression and also dissociation and sometimes psychic abilities also, like a different kind of level of operating, different operating system for your mind and so on, and in it's my understanding that when they were looking for research subjects for the MK Ultra program, and that would include McGill in the 1950s, they would choose people of those bloodlines often, and others, but they're considered to be programmable and also to have special abilities that made them right for the program that they were doing at McGill. So I was going to ask you, have you heard of the Montreal experiments, we call them, or the
Oh yeah, sure.
Allan Memorial?
Yeah.
Yeah. What have you heard? Like, what is your...
Oh, just that a lot of bad shit went down, and I'm sketchy on the details. I've watched a few YouTube documentaries on the MK Ultra experiments at the Allen, but can't tell you that I've retained anything from them.
Okay. Well, you probably have that, but does any of it relate to your own experience?
No.
Zero, nothing. You'd say nothing. Like, of course, okay, so you were never, I'm going to ask you, you were never put in a sensory isolation tank?
No.
You were never, electroshocked?
No.
Have you ever had it? You never had that?
I came close, but never.
When did you come close?
Oh, when I had just depression that wouldn't go away.
All right.
Medication-resistant depression.
Somewhere in the course of your treatment, of the years that you were going there?
Post 2001, yeah.
Post 2001. I forgot to ask you, who called the emergency on you, or had you admitted to the Allen? Was it friends around you who?
My mom, friends, yeah.
Were you in a crisis or something? And
oh yeah.
Like, what was that like? I mean, what
I
kind
thought
of
I was
condition?
a superhero, and I was going out looking for crime to fight.
Did you have a costume?
Hmm.
What was your superhero? Do you have a picture?
Osmosis was my superhero name.
Oh wow, you got a poster for it. Okay. Osmosis Unlimited. Tell me about it. You'll send me a photo too, yeah.
Let's see if I can find my picture of my costume.
Did osmosis come to you from another dimension, or was that something you worked on and invented consciously?
It sort of came to me, and it sort of intruded its way into my brain when I was having my first psychotic manic episode.
In 2000.
There's one picture of me in my suit.
Oh well, that's pretty. Oh my God, it's a pig. You've got a pig face. You've got a pig's snout.
That's not the one I really wanted to show. There's one that's really...
It's very dark. It's hard to tell. I'd like them if possible. Also, we should talk about your book too. But okay, let's see. Oh yeah. So you had a helmet, kind of like
a balaclava with sunglasses
and the symbol on your forehead.
Well, that I photoshopped in later.
It's like a yin yang. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, that something is in here. Sorry, I lost it for you. But anyway. Okay, so was it like a yin-yang symbol?
Yes. It's an O and an S.
All right. O and an S. Okay. And OSS, right. And what did it mean? What does osmosis mean for you?
Well, osmosis is, apart from being like
the chemical process.
Liquid achieving equilibrium on either sides of a membrane.
Okay, yeah, I'm not...
It's also the act of picking things up without putting any effort into it.
All right.
Without trying, learning without trying.
And was that something you were good at?
Very.
Like you were absorbing information...
I was picking up skills without making any effort to do so. That's the full picture.
I love that photo. You'll send that. Yeah, that's a good one. You're very impressive, and you've got something around your neck there too.
Yeah, it was the piping on my jacket.
Oh, just the piping. So did you find like that? That sounds like sort of special abilities a special ability that you had. This was after the band broke up. You'd have done a lot of things I remember you write about your first job as a young person, and you took on a lot of responsibility, and I forget now what it was. You were making screen printing, but it was a kind of very creative, and you kind of propelled yourself into it, and you worked very hard.
Mm-hmm.
And you're a really quick study. When you want to learn something, you learn really fast.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what you were talking about when you were osmosis. Was that like a stage act?
No, that was a real life act.
Oh, okay. I don't remember seeing you around the streets then. Oh, that was after my time though. Would you parade up and down the Main in your costume?
Yeah, and I had a cane. Like I took Kung Fu for many years, and at a certain point they let you pick a weapon to learn, and I picked the cane because I figured that would be the most practical thing that I could actually carry around with me. So I had a cane. I had my black suit with the white piping. I had my balaclava. I had my sunglasses, and I had throwing knives strapped to my chest.
Actual knives.
Actual knives.
Deadly knives.
Deadly knives, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Your friends got a bit worried about you.
Oh, yeah.
And was a sudden change that came over you that said, or you worked on it in secret for a while and then came out suddenly with this new identity?
It just kind of emerges when I have a manic episode.
Do you still do it?
No. Kind of, yeah.
Do you have the costume on still?
I still have balaclavas. I have a few of them.
You put that on sometimes?
I have these, which are self-defense Buddha beads. You know, if you see me wearing these, there's usually beads. Probably something up. Don't really have any knives anymore. I don't keep knives. I do have some, though, but I never carry them. But when I had my last manic episode, last year in February, I ordered these combat knives, which are insanely sharp. And I ordered...
And why did you order them? Because you felt you need to defend yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
I know a lot of people, and I also have had a period in my life where I was pretty deep into the marijuana black market as a seller and buyer. So I know a lot of criminals. And and there was a criminal in particular who was involved with my platonic soulmate that I was worried had bad intentions towards me at the time. So I was thinking about him when I ordered the knives. And do you know Temu, the shopping app? Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I know.
Chinese shopping app. I bought all these toy handguns, very realistic looking toy handguns. And when I was manic, I posted pictures of me with the handguns on Facebook. And I said they're toys, but some overly concerned citizen called 911, and the police broke down my door with a battering ram and searched my apartment for illegal firearms and put me under arrest for about 35 minutes.
When was this?
In the middle of the night last February.
Last February.
Yeah, just after Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Right. So it could...
They were cool with the knives, though. They didn't mind the knives.
Those are legal.
Those are legal.
But they didn't find any firearms, just plastic guns.
Just toys, yeah. But they took them anyways.
Took them away.
But I had already ordered more, so like 3 days later I had like 3 more of them anyways. So.
So, yeah. Okay. So that's a manic episode.
Yeah.
And they don't come that often.
No, the only reason I had that manic episode last year is because when I was in my first year of sobriety from cannabis, My psychiatrist said, "You're doing so well. What do you think? Maybe all of your, because my cannabis use predates my bipolar diagnosis.
Okay.
So we were looking at the theory that maybe all my manic episodes were cannabis-induced psychosis.
Right.
So she said, why don't we try weaning you off your antipsychotic? So for 8 months, we slowly lowered my Risperdal until it was down to nothing. And then within 3 weeks of being off it, I had a manic episode while sober. So we were like, well, it obviously wasn't just the weed. And so we learned that lesson the hard way. But now, I have no intention of stopping my antipsychotics ever again. And I'm pretty confident that I'm not going to have another episode.
Okay, they keep you balanced. They keep you stable.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're pro drug. You're pretty pro psychiatry. It sounds like.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Your case, your history is like a positive outcome.
Yeah, I know I need medication to stay stable. Beyond it's just been proven to be so many times that I am way better on medication than I am unmedicated.
And would that have been true when you were younger too, do you think? Or you don't need to know that?
No, I learned the hard way. I learned by being non-compliant with my medication. Mm-hmm. And getting hospitalized.
Let's say
every
in your
year.
30s and so on. I wonder, medication at that time, you didn't need it back then. You had other...
No, I needed it in my 30s.
You think
but it made me feel like shit, so I was bad about taking it.
Oh, that you did go on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I was 31 when I started taking meds. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Okay. But then they made that one that upset your stomach, and then they right? And
yeah.
Took you off.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Gee, now I don't know what else to... Let's see if there's some questions. All right, please talk to me about music. And has that been would you say that music therapy has been the best, or not the best? Has it been really good? And would you can you talk about musical therapy, and why you're very committed to it?
It's music is great for me because when I do have too much energy, when I'm flying a little high, it's a great way to channel that energy in a way that occupies my mind and my body on many different levels. And it keeps me out of trouble, The creative process of just writing a song and then turning that song into music, it involves my brain, it involves my body, it involves my voice, it involves all of me. It takes all of me to create a song and record a song, and then once I have that song, all the things I can do with that song, I have one of my tropes is I write songs about things I say all the time, so that in the future, if I have to say those things to someone, I can just send them the song. So I have a song called Good Luck.
Good Luck.
I have a song called How Are You? I have a song called It's All Good in NDG. I have a song called You're Welcome, et cetera, so that instead of saying the same tired old thing over and over again, I can say it with a song, and it works great for the music because it gives me opportunities to share the music and get people looking at my videos or listening to my Bandcamp page. So it drives traffic to my page. And then those people use them to say those things too, So it's a great way of going viral kind of thing, by taking these mundane expressions and turning them into a work of art.
So that's your particular style. And I would say your lyrics are quite complex, even though those titles are very simple. You write pretty complex lyrics around those titles.
Thank you.
Good Luck. And when you sent me, or I saw Good Luck, I think you sent it to me, I shared it with a bunch of people because I thought everybody needs to hear this, we get in such a downer sometimes, and we're, I thought that was one of the best songs I'd heard, and just the spirit behind it too, was just so, well, I don't know. original. So you compose and you that's the whole. So that's your yes, your métier. That's your profession. Is songwriting, really, right?
One of them, yeah.
One of them.
Definitely one of them, for sure. Probably the most important to me personally. It's the one I care the most about.
I would think, yeah. How many songs have you written?
Geez. I've probably written about, I'd say, 400 songs. I've probably recorded around 200 songs, and I've probably made videos for about 100 of them.
Wow. Videos.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a whole, if we do this interview and it gets on, okay, I'll explain later, but yeah, I want to have some of those links for sure that belongs. If we get to the point of sharing the interview for the oral history project, you have an amazing portfolio.
Yeah, it's a pretty extensive portfolio of music and visuals. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there.
I mean, 400 songs is considerable.
Well, just the book alone. I mean, how many pages is the song?
And then your book. Okay, you can talk about maybe tell me about your book a bit too. But
book.
I want to buy a copy by the way.
Oh, great.
Except I don't know how many cash. I'll have to go out to the machine or something. Or I can email. Can I email you some money?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Is that your book?
Page 180 to page...
See, I had this lousy PDF. It was really hard. I was trying to read it on my phone. So that's the
page
book.
266. So I have just this, which is nowhere means has 86 pages of songs in it. And that's just like a fraction.
That's just a fraction of your output. Yeah, and you knew some of the best people in Montreal. I remember Callie and Dub. You knew them.
Yeah, Callie was in Osmosis Unlimited with me. Yeah,
how come?
I talked to him. That's the band I started in 2003.
Oh, so that was a band. In 2003, that became a band. There was your character?
It was my character, and it became a band.
How many people in the band?
Oh, we've had so many people, yeah. Like, our major studio album had like 40 musicians on it, something like that. Do you have a CD player?
Not anymore. I do somewhere, but...
Well, I won't give you a CD.
Well, you don't give me the CD, I guess. But I can maybe download or something. Can I? Anyway. Definitely. It's downloadable, right? Or not?
Yeah, it's on Bandcamp.
All right, I'll look for it. You'll help me find it. Send me a link. So you've incredible, like a lot of creative output. You are a creative.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. And here you've been presenting yourself as this, social worker guy.
I am that
12-step program guy and all that. But there's so much more.
Yeah, I'm quite a lot of things. I have not a hard time, but like they're all kind of connected in a way.
You can sit down and smoke next to me if you want.
I'm just looking for my lighter.
Oh, I have one in my pocket.
I have one.
I don't even smoke. Do you think that the creative? I got that sense, like reading about you, that being creative somewhere in this world that we live in causes frictions, and is that something you believe? Like it can get you in trouble because of the highs and lows that seem to go with it. You seem to have some incredible highs.
It's a blessing and a curse. For sure. Like, I get a lot of people are chasing hypomania. They want to be in the hypomanic state all the time. Early
stage.
Just more elevated than normal, but not psychotic, And it's like, it's impossible to maintain. It's a fool's game, because you just can't sustain hypomania. It comes and goes. And if you're lucky, it goes back to normal. And if you're not lucky, it goes into full-blown mania.
Okay, so hypomania is when you're still like able to, you can still formulate, write, function socially, but you feel kind of
But maybe you're sleeping a bit less,
supercharged.
maybe you're talking a bit more, maybe you're having more ideas. You're feeling like your brain is more active.
And that's okay. And then, and when do you take off? Like, when does it become mania?
Well, when you start sleeping less and less, when you start spending more and more, when you start spending money frivolously, when you start, when your sex drive starts climbing and going off the charts, when your temper starts manifesting, when you find you're not thinking before you're reacting, you're just knee-jerk reacting to things.
Mm-hmm. You're getting very emotional. You might cry even, or you might yell,
yeah.
you might, yeah. And other people find you just impossible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you had breaks with reality, actual breaks with reality where you don't, what about your memory? Do you lose that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in 2007, after the Morgentaler reunion, like the day after or the night of the last show, I wandered into that church that's part of Promenade de la Cathédrale, that church on St. Catherine?
Yeah.
It's part of the shopping mall.
Maybe Christchurch Cathedral, maybe?
I don't think it's Christchurch.
No, it isn't
Cathedral.
Christchurch. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, me too. But they were playing organ music, and I started thinking God was talking to me.
Oh, that
and
I know that church. It's very dark and tall. Yeah, they have amazing choir in there.
And I followed the vibes of the angels into the bathroom of Indigo and threatened to remove a guy's eye with a small Swiss Army penknife because I thought he was the devil and God was sending me to take his eye out. So, I've had some serious breaks with reality.
Around that same time after the church?
I was in the church, organ music playing, feeling like I was filled with the Holy Spirit.
Mailman just arrived.
And I just, hi. Thank you. And I just found myself drawn on this path that led me up the stairs to Indigo, into the bathroom where a guy was using the urinal. And I had this tiny little white Swiss Army knife on me, and I took it out and opened up the blade. I went up behind him and grabbed him while I was going to take his eye out.
So he ran to he must have gone to the desk and reported.
He started yelling, help, help. Security came in, called the cops. I gave them some cockamamie story that he was a criminal I had been following, and somehow they didn't arrest me and let me go. It was weird.
Just going to make it a weird association in there. I know that church. I've been in there. I heard the choir. I had a friend who sang in the choir in the 90s, I think it was. Okay. And it was a fantastic choir. It really was they had a really good choir in there. And we went in, and we were the only people in there. And we walked in, and we were kind of like in our punk-type clothes. And I went with a couple of friends or something, and it's like nobody ever came to their services. There was hardly anybody, but we came to hear the choir, and the music was really good. Mm-hmm. And I guess a guy at the organ or something at the piano or whatever was going, and they were really just great. And then the minister thanked us, came up and he couldn't believe that somebody had come to church. And he realized we were not the typical, I guess it's a United Church or something, or maybe Anglican, I'm not sure. Anyway, but years later I heard that the minister or somebody connected to that, I think it's the minister, was a Satanist, and they were holding satanic rituals in the basement. But this was not just a rumor, but somebody who knew quite a lot. In fact, she's somebody that I hope to interview because of her. She has a connection with Allan Memorial too. But and she said it was real. It certainly had a dark atmosphere. I mean, it was a dark, room, a dark hall.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I'm just throwing that out. What year was that?
2007.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe something grabbed you.
I was definitely out of my tree, that's for sure.
Really? Has
Yeah.
that ever, was that a rare?
When I go manic, I start believing that we're in the apocalypse and there's a war going on between angels and demons. And when I see people, I'm like, angel, demon, angel, angel, demon, 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 angel. And I just categorize people on which side of the war they're on.
All right. Be careful. I approach you from the right side. You know?
I snuck into the Freemason temple when I was manic and got a tour.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about that.
That's pretty much all there is to tell. I was going by in a manic state, and I
The
saw
one on Sherbrooke?
Yeah, the one on Fort or St. Mark.
And you walked in the side door there?
Yeah, the side door was open. There's a catering company that operates out of the ground floor. They were loading the truck, and I just walked in the side door and wandered around for a bit, and then walked upstairs to the office, and the Grand Master was there, and I was like, "Hi, I'm interested in joining the Masons." And he's like, "Oh, let me get our superintendent to give you a tour and answer some questions." And this decrepit old janitor guy took me through the whole place and showed me all around, all the little rooms and temples and stuff like that. And
altars?
they gave me a little rose and thistle pin.
Oh, yeah.
And I was there one other time and I stole a ceremonial neck
Right.
piece.
Oh.
Yeah. I almost joined. My uncle and my nephew, my uncle and my cousin in Nova Scotia that I was just visiting with are like the secretaries of the Eastern Canada Freemasons.
You never joined?
No, I actually, it's funny you mentioned satanic rituals because they called me up. First they wouldn't let me join because I was on welfare. They said you have to have a job to join because we don't want your basic essential money going towards your dues. And then the guy called me up and said, "Are you still interested in pursuing it in case you get a job or something?" And I was in a manic episode. Said, "No, I don't want to align myself with Satanists." Click.
I was going to say, I thought a squirrel came in the door, but no, it's your cat. Anyway, your black cat. So that was kind of your final conversation with him?
Yeah.
A few years ago?
Yeah, it was probably around the same time, around 2007 or something.
Yeah. Huh. So, okay. That's a very interesting journey you've taken me on today. That is amazing. I don't know what else. I've been into I went in one time because they said they were giving a public lecture, and I was curious, and I drove by with a friend, and I jumped out of the car and I went up the steps and the door was open, and I was kind of like, I hear that, I don't know, I was looking for somebody to tell me if there was a lecture sometime, because I wanted I wanted to know more about it. I was already not, my dad was totally against Freemasonry, and I don't know, there was some of it around us, you know. My dad was definite that those kinds of things are bad. But anyway, but I just had a curiosity to just hear what they were saying to people these days, or how do they, you know. And there was a black man, when I walked in, he was putting on these golden robes, and and he was just standing there. He looked a little bit stunned, actually. He was getting ready for something, and there was that staircase that goes up to the second. There was kind of a massive, I don't know, marble staircase. I don't know what it is. Kind of impressive going up, and from above there was obviously an event, a meeting up there, and they were chanting. And I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
I didn't like the feeling.
Have you seen Killers of the Flower Moon?
Yeah. Oh, are they in there?
Yeah, they do all their plotting and scheming in the temple, Freemason temple. The checkerboard floor and the...
Oh, okay, I don't know why
the two pillars and the globes.
Yeah. Where did I see that movie? Maybe it was on a plane. I forgot about the Freemasons.
Yeah, it's a big part of the movie.
Big part of the movie, yeah. Glad that they put it in movies, too.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not affiliated with any religious organization
No.
other than, or any, other than this 12-step program, which has a Freemasonic...
Well, parallels, maybe, you know.
I don't know. I think they say that the guy who wrote it was, what was he? He was a Mason or he was a Mormon or something? No, not
Bill
a Mormon.
W? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. Yeah, but it works, and I've always heard that.
It works for people who work it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It works. Yeah, it works. All right. What else? Anything else you'd like to... I'll just check my
I don't know.
questions. Have you ever... Okay, I asked you a question. Have you sought outside therapy? No. What kind of therapy? Oh, yeah, music therapy. You were gonna... I was gonna...
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I just blasted our co-director, you know, like... So I'll bring, just for the sake of historical records, on January 20th of this year, the Montreal General Hospital told the Musiart Choir, which had been in operation for 28 years, that due to a lack of philanthropic donations, they were shutting us down. So I switched into public relations mode and sent out press releases about it. And there was a huge media response. And the upshot of it was that the big donors to the Montreal General Hospital Foundation basically said, if you can't find a way to fund this choir, we're going to stop giving you money. So they suddenly found the money for us to continue, but in the process, they're moving us to a community center that's arts and music, but non-therapeutic.
Impatient.
Les Impatients.
Les Impatients. Yeah. Okay. All right. You did.
So.
Yeah.
So, and because of that, we're losing one of our co-directors who's staying with the hospital, and that created a job opening for co-director of the choir. So I expressed my interest in the position and sent in my application. Didn't hear back for like 2 weeks. Then the director of Les Impatients tells our outgoing director to tell me that they have a policy that they don't hire participants for paid positions. So I am discouraged.
Yeah, moved out of the, yeah.
And I say, well, that's a lot of bullshit, because that's against the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That's discriminatory. And prior to that, Julie, the co-director who is staying, who is a certified psychologist, music therapist, had told me I would be considered. So first I get told, don't worry, you'll be considered. Then I get told by the director of the community center that I can't be considered. Then another 2 weeks goes by, so 4 weeks since I sent in my application. I've heard nothing from the director. Hasn't returned my phone messages, hasn't returned any of my emails, and there were a lot of emails. So Danny tells me, well, he's really bad at getting back to people, maybe just go and see him. So I go and see him. And I record the whole meeting surreptitiously on my phone, in which it was good news and bad news. Bad news is he admits that they have this policy and declines to say whether or not it's a violation of the charter and describes it as benevolent discrimination. But really the only reason they do it is to save themselves the headache of fielding applications from their participants. So we agreed to disagree on that. But the good news for me was, because I'm not yet a participant of Les Impatients, the policy doesn't apply to me, and he assures me my application will be considered. So I leave there with mixed emotions. I'm still pissed off about the policy, but I'm glad I'm going to be considered. Okay. Then we play our final concert at the Allan.
Yes, tell me about that.
And I'll tell you about it afterwards. And after the concert, the choir gives me this card signed by Danny and signed by Julie, the choir directors, thanking me for the last 2 months of advocating for the choir and speaking up for the choir, and effectively pretty much single-handedly saving the choir.
Yes. Yeah.
A few days later, they asked me not to speak on behalf of the choir anymore. I'm like, what? I'm like, which I kind of ignore, because I'm like, that's retarded. I can speak. You can't tell me how to speak. So I'm in discussions with the choir members, and meanwhile, I call the foundation about our money, like I said, and I get into this. I catch them in a mistake, and they're trying to convince me to relaunch my fundraiser. And I say, well, if I'm going to relaunch the fundraiser, I need to have a meeting with the people who decided to kill the choir. So I submit to them a list of questions. And because I had talked with a few choir members about what kind of questions to ask, I didn't say, I want to know this, I want to know that. I said, we want to know this, we want to know that. Then I get called into a Zoom meeting with Julie and Danny, and there's no discussion. They just say, because you spoke on behalf of the choir to the foundation, you are not going to be considered for co-director of the choir. And they talked at me for 25 minutes while I sat there and listened
It's
to
like
them
you
justify
didn't
themselves.
obey their
Yeah.
orders.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so I thought about it for a day, and then I wrote back. I want to get this on tape.
This is your letter.
This is a letter I
Looking
sent
for
to
an-
Julie and CC'd everyone in the choir. Dear Julie, to sum up our Zoom meeting of earlier today, you have decided that since my emails gave the impression that I was speaking on behalf of the choir, which you previously expressed a desire that I not do, I am not going to be considered or interviewed for the position of co-director of Le Groupe Musiar. By what authority do you make this decision? Le Groupe Musiar is at present a collective of volunteers, except for you, who work together to compose, rehearse, and record original music and perform live. We are not your employees. You are but one member of this group, and your voice carries no more authority than any other voice, salary, title, degree, musical skill notwithstanding. When you were speaking for the choir to the hospital and the foundation, we got shut down. It was okay apparently for me to speak for the choir when it was convenient for you when I was fighting to save your job. You have no say in how I express myself, to whom I express myself, what pronouns I choose to use, and when and where I send any emails or text messages and to whom I make phone calls. We have a thing called freedom of speech in Canada. We also have a Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It is my feeling that you are discriminating against me because I have bipolar disorder and you do not trust me to make my own decisions. Despite the fact that you asked me not to speak on behalf of the choir, I chose to ignore that request after speaking with several members and feeling encouraged to represent them. You have no right to deny me an employment opportunity that I am, frankly, overqualified for because I chose to write we instead of I. I was deeply offended that you suggested I go away and start my own project. I feel you did everything in your power to discourage my continued association with the choir, short of telling me I was no longer welcome. Pardon my French, but who crowned you the fucking queen? Now let me tell you what I think of you and what you bring to the choir. I think I can safely say without fear of being contradicted that without my public relations skills and contacts, there would be no Musiar for you to claim authority over and draw a good salary from. Not only did I save the choir, which meant raising enough money to feed you and put a roof over your head, but I personally contributed $200 towards your bank account. If anything, you work for us. Without our volunteering and time, you would be completely irrelevant. Your job exists because of us, not the other way around. I don't appreciate not having your phone number when you have mine. I don't see how your background as a music therapist manifests itself in any useful way in my experience as a choir participant. I don't see what the relevance of your music therapy background is going to be at Les Impatients, whose mission is expressly non-therapeutic. I feel that if you were to compare the two of us, I have far more live performance experience, more recording experience, more songwriting experience, more public relations experience, more band leading experience, more videography experience, more sound technician experience, more peer-to-peer mental health counseling experience, and I'm much more open, honest, forthcoming, creative, imaginative, and loving than you are. Not to mention that I know firsthand what it is to live with a mental illness, deal with society, the healthcare system, being hospitalized, being poor, being outcast, and being discriminated against the way you were to me this morning and on several past occasions. You spend your life trying to imperfectly help others recover, as do I. But only one of us has actually lived the recovery experience. They say the biggest problem with being in recovery is dealing with those who are not in recovery. I feel that applies to you here in a big way. I feel you do not respect me, and I feel it is because of the stigma of mental illness, and you are constantly suspicious that I am not right in the head. You have been condescending, critical, and questioning of me since I met you. You are very comfortable critiquing me, so I hope that you are equally as comfortable with receiving criticism yourself. I will leave you with these thoughts from Alcoholics Anonymous on taking another's inventory. In Alcoholics Anonymous, taking others' inventory refers to focusing on, judging, or criticizing the faults of other people rather than one's own. AA literature, particularly the fourth step, emphasizes that the inventory must be personal, ours, not the other man's. Focusing on self-centeredness, anger, and fear to achieve recovery, and avoid using others' faults to evade personal responsibility. I choose to continue on in my role as a volunteer with the group Memoir, but I will also be investigating legal options for your decision not to allow my application for the co-director position on the basis of discrimination. I've sent this to Danny, Frederick, and selected choir members. Please do me the favor of making sure the rest of the choir reads this. So, as much as I think music therapy is really valuable, I don't think I got anything therapeutic out of my time in the choir other than the therapeutic benefits of music itself. No more or less than I've gotten in any other project I've worked on.
But that's the point, isn't it? But, okay, thank you. I think you're at a crossroads right now. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
And you said what you had to say. You certainly said it. And you're going to see. I mean, I don't think you belong back there. I think you belong somewhere else. That's my, that's my takeaway. And I'm getting a funny feeling like this is a good thing that's happening. So just hang in there and see.
Yeah. No, I'm fine with walking away. I'm fine with letting it go.
You could. Don't
Attachment
worry.
is the root of all suffering. After
all.
All,
Attachment, all that stuff. But what a great interview. I think I'm just gonna close it right now because I don't know what else to say except I did want to talk about the benefits of the music, and maybe last question.
Well, we kind of talked about it a bit when I talked about how composing involves my whole brain and body and stuff like that.
That was composing. What about being in a choir? What about listening? What about those things? Do you think is that part of the therapeutic? Yes.
Oh, well, singing with people is what a great way to release oxytocin and endorphins, and dopamine. It's just the best way to get those happy chemicals really fast,
Just the choir experience.
And it's vibrational, you're all vibrating at the same frequency at the same time, it's
Yeah. You know what I've heard, and this is where I'm going to close because I have this whole, my father was a musician. He was a music teacher. He was an Air Force jazz. He played in an Air Force jazz combo, and that's how he came to Montreal.
What did he play?
What did he play? Piano.
Okay.
And then he wasn't a great musician, I don't think, but he was a smart guy, and they put him in Air Force intelligence because his listening skills made him useful for the Signals Corps, and they were, which I guess was about listening to German signals, radio broadcasts. That was part of what he did. Also, he did a lot of investigatory work, I think, but he never talked about it. I put this together. But, okay, so I grew up in a musical background. He came from a family where they went to church and they'd sing in five-part harmony, and everybody came to that church in this small town in Ontario. They'd come from, to listen to the McLeans sing five-part harmony in church, so I come from that kind of, I can sing a bit, but I'm not musical, really. Mm-hmm. But I never went that way. My brother was a composer. He played in bands. He was musical. But recently I had this whole thing with, never mind about, I'll tell you another time about but I learned that music bypasses, since I'm still talking about the Allan Memorial and the memory erasure and what they did to people with the various, the electroshock and so on, they can erase memory, right? But music apparently uses, I don't know, synapses, neurological channels in the mind that don't get erased. So with the music, if you are amnesiac or you've lost parts of your life to some form of, electronic or whatever kind of programming that music will rebuild and can bring back the memories that you've lost. So
Yeah,
music
I've seen
is
documentaries
a
on them doing
bypass.
it with Alzheimer's patients.
Okay.
Yeah, playing music from their youth.
And what does it do?
Oh, it just totally brings them back for a little while, Like,
It brings that time back,
Yeah.
or brings the
brings
person
the
back.
person back to the present,
Okay, I think music is. They say the the two kinds of therapy I heard the best are talk therapy, number one. Second, I've read writing, but I bet music is right up there with the two.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And maybe less used. But okay. I want to thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Wow, I learned a lot. Great to talk to you. Here we go. Wait a sec. Snooze. No. I got to get out of here now. There's a book launch over at Concordia. So I'm working, I'm organizing this, I never organize anything really, but I'm doing this out of the Concordia Center for Oral History and Digital Storytelling. And I'm going to go over there now and just kind of investigate, ask a few questions. Oh, which song you'd like to sing?
It's called She's So On Fire, and it talks about the Allan Memorial burning down.
Absolutely. You can find it and send it to me?
Yeah.
Hey.
Can you send me your email address?
Yeah, I'll give it to you now. Anything you want to sing or say before I just press stop?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm all talked out.
All right. Thank you so much.
I'll be right back. I'm just going to go get the batteries.
All righty.